In this podcast, I'm going to discuss about the education models which exist around the world. These are excellent education systems, particularly from Singapore and Finland. And we need to understand the models which Singapore and Finland operate and show incredible success in school education. And after that, we'll also look at the university education models around the world. But let's look at first the Singapore and Finland school education system. Singapore focuses on a highly structured, result driven approach with a rigorous academic standards, while Finland prioritizes student centric learning, equality, and fostering creativity, and a strong emphasis on teacher quality and autonomy, resulting in less emphasis on standardized testing. And both these models have been able to show incredible results in terms of student centric outcome or learner centric outcome. Let's look at Singapore model first. Singapore prioritizes high standardized test scores and achieving top rankings in international assessments, often utilizing a tracking system to separate student based on ability, while Finland focuses on holistic, aiming to minimize achievement gaps with students and emphasizing critical thinking and collaboration. In Singapore, teachers undergo rigorous training with a strong focus on delivering the curriculum effectively, while in Finland, teachers are required to have a master's degree and are given considerable autonomy in the classroom. So the models are different, but the effectiveness is very, very high in both the systems. I think as told as I have told you earlier, that Singapore is a far more structured curriculum with a clear learning objectives and frequent assessment, while Finland allows teacher to be more flexible to tailor lessons and individual student needs, and also about the assessment part. Singapore operates with centralized education system where policy decisions are largely made by Ministry of Education, and whereas Finland utilizes a decentralized model with significant local control and stakeholder involvement. What should we do in India? And that's a choice we have to make that. But what is important is that while Singapore is highly competitive, emphasize on rote learning, which we also follow in some way, and a strong parental involvement, but at the same time, the Finland education model student well-being, collaborative learning, and highly qualified teachers. I think the Finland model is much more suitable for the new education system which we are professing on that. Now, should Finland model be the ideal in a way that we need to see that? The Finnish model is giving more autonomy to the faculty members or the teachers, and which I think is very important for that. The second is the Finland. The basic right to education and culture is recorded in the Constitution of Finland. In India also, we have a Right to Education Act, and the public authorities need to ensure equal opportunity for every resident in Finland or in India to get education, and also after compulsory education and to develop themselves. But the issue is that the effectiveness of those things is still questionable, and we need to see that in our assessment for that. To understand the Finland education system and the 10 reasons why Finland education system is the best in the world, I'm reading out from the report from the World Economic Forum 2018. And the report looks at the why Finland education system is world class and what we can learn from them. So if you look at that, Finland, a country rich in intellectual and educational reform, has initiated over the years a number of novel and simple changes that have simply completely revolutionized their education system. They outrank United States and other countries in the world in terms of learning outcome. Are they cramming in dimly lit rooms on robotic schedule? No. stressing over standardized tests enacted by the government. No way. Finland is leading the way because the common sense practices and a base holistic teaching environment that strives for equity over excellence. Here are the 10 reasons why Finland education system is dominating the US and the world stage. The first is no standardized testing. Staying in line with our print-minded sensibilities, standardized testing is the blanket way we test the subject comprehension. Filling in a little bubbles on a scantron and answering pre-canned questions is somehow supposed to be a way to determine mastery or at least competence of a subject. What often happens that students will learn to cram just to pass a test, and teachers will be teaching with the sole purpose of students passing a test. Learning has been thrown out of the equation. Finland has no standardized tests. Their only exception is something called National Matriculation Examination, which is a voluntary test for students at the end of an upper secondary school equivalent to an American high school. All children throughout Finland are graded on individualized basis. Grading system set by their teacher. Tracking overall progress is done by the Ministry of Education, which samples group across different ranges of schools. The second is accountability of teachers, not required. A lot of blame goes to the teachers, and rightfully so sometimes. But in Finland, the bar is set so high for teachers that there's often no reason to have a rigorous grading system for teachers. Pasi Sahelburg, director of Finnish Ministry of Education and writers of Finnish lessons, What Can the World Learn from Educational Change in Finland, says that following about the teacher's accountability, there's no word of accountability in Finnish. Accountability is something that is left when responsibility has been subtracted. All teachers are required to have a master's degree before entering the profession. Teaching programs are the most rigorous and selective professional schools in the entire country. If a teacher isn't performing well, it's individual principal's responsibility to do something about it. The concept of pupil-teacher dynamic that was once the master to apprenticeship cannot be distilled down to a few bureaucratic checks and standardized test measures. It needs to be dealt with on an individual basis. The third is cooperation, not competition. While most American and other countries see education system as one big Darwinian competition, the Finns see it differently. Salver quotes a line from writer Samuli Paranen, which says that real winners do not compete. Ironically, this attitude has put them at the head of the international pack. Finland education system does not worry about artificial and arbitrary merit-based system. There are no list of top-performing schools or teachers. It's not an environment of competition. Instead, the cooperation is the norm. The third is the mix. Many school systems are so concerned with the increasing test scores and comprehension in maths and science they tend to forget what constitutes a happy, harmonious, and healthy student and learning environment. Many years ago, Finnish school system was in the need of some serious reforms, and the program that Finland put together focused on returning back to the basics. It wasn't about dominating with excellent marks or upping the ante. Instead, it looked to make the school environment a more equitable place. Since 80s, Finnish educators have focused on making these basics priority. Education should be an instrument to balance out social inequality. All students receive free school meals, ease of access to healthcare, psychological counseling, and individualized guidance. Beginning with the individual in the collective environment of equality is a Finland's way. The second here, the Finland again start by changing the very minute details. Students start school when they are 7 years old. They are given free rein in the developing childhood years to not be chained to compulsory education. Simply just a way, let the kid be a kid. And there are only 9 years of compulsory school that Finnish children are required and attend, and everything past 9th grade at the age of 16 is optional. Just from a psychology standpoint, this is a freeing ideal. Although it may be anecdotal, many students really feel that they're stuck in a prison. Finland alleviates this forced ideal and instead opts to prepare its children for the real world. The current pipeline of education in America is incredibly stagnant and immutable.